Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Marsha. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
So we missed
And I have to
Thanksgiving. Oh, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is we had a discussion that we missed. We were supposed to record the week of Thanksgiving, but there was too much going on. And so we had just a conversation between the two of us that probably our listeners are not going to notice that we didn't put out an episode. And I would like to tell you that that's not true. They do notice. One of our listeners, Joanne, Mom Diggity, that helped me with the sweater, she came over on Monday with some other friends, and we had a little knitting session and tea, and she said, you're due for an episode. So Joanne, this is for you.
Yes. And I've been thinking, also, I'm due to go to the post office because I still have not, I'm sitting here in the trailer and I have them all set up, ready to go to the post office. I still haven't mailed the prizes from the summer spin-in. I feel terrible. But
yeah,
I'll get them out. I think I might, if I don't get them out tomorrow, I'll try to get them out the next day and bring them to the post office because, oh my gosh, that was in September that we drew those names while I was in Seabrook. And I still haven't mailed those prizes.
Well, so much going on.
Yes,
so.
and I actually have resolved to do a lot of things better in the new year. So
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No, I mean seriously, I do not have the excuse unless something terrible happens with the virus. I won't have the excuse of online teaching. I'll be teaching face to face. So I won't have that, weighing me down. And you know how we used to have like topics and, our episodes would have something besides just our projects. I'd kind of like to get back to that. And while I'm talking about this, I should say it would be nice. I would like to hear from listeners about, I know they like hearing about our lives and I know they like hearing about our projects, but if there are other things you want us to talk about, I'm really open to those suggestions in the new year. I'm not going to promise anything before January, but I'm really open to those suggestions so that Marsha and I can have a little meeting in the beginning of the year and we can maybe plan out, a little more educational and informative content, kind of like what we used to do.
Well, I'm going to just say, I'm going to give us a little bit of, I'm going to defend us a little bit, is that during the summer spin-in, we did have topics.
That's true.
We were so we have to cut ourselves just a little bit of slack.
Yes.
So we did do that.
Yes.
I will say, too, we are the 2U's Fiber Adventures, but it's difficult to have adventures in the middle of a pandemic. So
that's true, too. Yes.
Yeah. So we have to cut ourselves slack on that, too. But no, I think that's a great idea. I think it would be great to have input from listeners for topics,
Yeah, so email us 2U's at 2usfiberadventures.com, or if you go to our website, which is 2usfiberadventures.com, you can leave a comment. There's a contact us page, and you can leave a comment there. And I have to say, I have also been really bad at keeping up with that email. Our podcast email. And again, just because everything's on email now, with the pandemic, it's just been, I used to check it every day. And now I find myself like, oh gosh, have I checked the 2U's email in a while? And so we have a couple of comments and I didn't go and look at them before the episode. So So I won't be able to respond to them here, but we do have a couple of outstanding comments that I need to respond to. So I'm just making it's not a resolution, but I'm just going to like regroup, when January starts and I know I'm teaching face-to-face, I'm just going to kind of regroup and get my life back to, it's not totally the way it used to be, but, I won't be sitting in the trailer all day in front of the computer.
Yeah, it'll
just be different. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that difference. So anyway.
Yeah. So listeners, please suggest comments to get us back on track on our adventures.
Or new. I mean, if you have some new ideas, we have some new listeners. Although I have to say, since things opened up in the pandemic, the listeners have gone down a little bit. During the pandemic, I think a lot of people were home. They were able to, keep up on listening to the podcast, and some people, not everybody, but some people had more time on their hands because they weren't working. And then, now that things have opened back up, kids are back to sports and school and events, and people are just busier and they're trying to figure out their lives. And so I think, I see a lot fewer people listening to each episode, but I think people are just behind. People will comment about an episode like 3 episodes ago because they're just behind. And I know I am with my podcast. So I'm not keeping up as well as I used to. So anyway, yes, it would be really nice to hear from listeners about what kind of things they'd like to see us doing and talking about going forward.
Well, and I don't think we've talked about this before, and maybe it's too soon to even mention this, but I'm just going to say it. Our adventures are going to start though in the new year in 2022, because we are going to go to Stitches. Stitches West is going to be happening in March. I don't have the exact dates in front of me. We'll talk about that later because it's a while off, but it's the beginning of March, and I'm coming down for that. So I'm excited. It's interesting to see how that's going to work, but and then also the Northern California Knitting Retreat, also called Knockers, that is happening in April. So
right.
Our things are beginning to open up, and so it'll be exciting.
Yeah. So Stitches starts on March 3rd. I just opened up my calendar to take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Stitches opens up on March 3rd, and then, or right after the Knockers Retreat, is my
spring break,
right? Spring break, yeah. And during my spring break, I don't know if I've talked about this, but Robert and I bought one of our pandemic purchases. And right after Knockers, Robert and I are driving up to pick up a trailer, a 1950 Westcraft trailer that we bought last December during the height of the pandemic. We started talking. He bought a car, he bought a new truck, and he bought the trailer, and he's retiring. He retires. His last day of work is December 28th. So he's actually retiring at the end of this month, which is super exciting and for him. Actually, I've had between the pandemic and his swing shift stint that he's done for the last few years, I've actually gotten kind of a taste of what his retirement is going to be like. And so I've kind of gotten to ease into it because I'm home, he's home during the day, and then he goes to work at night. But yeah, lots of big changes for our family in the new year, which will be fun and exciting.
Well, and I have to say about your trailer, it's an old trailer, but you're having it completely restored. So it's been quite a we've not talked about that in the podcast, but we've had a lot of conversations, and Robert and my brother, all four of us have had a lot of conversations about the trailer and the restoration process too.
Yeah. It's in Oregon being restored. It's not a DIY project at all.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going to be really nice. It's about 23, I think 22 or 23 feet. So more like the trailer that we had back in the day when I was going to dog shows in terms of size. And in fact, today Robert was measuring the driveway and the width of the driveway and the height of our little porch area, and trying to figure out if he's going to be able to get it into the area where the current, the clubhouse trailer that I'm sitting in right now, where that trailer is. He's gonna, he's hoping to be able to keep it here at the house, but he's also looking for covered storage. So, yeah, lots to talk about and hear about in the future. There hasn't been much to talk about it because it's been so much, torn down and the not really glamorous things happening. But now it's starting to look. The inside is starting to look like the inside of the trailer, which has been really fun.
Yep. Very cool.
Yeah. So, and I just had my booster shot. So I'm not feeling wonderful. But I'm excited to be able to feel a little more comfortable, doing stuff, going to school. I'm going to be buying some more. I have enough to start out with, but I'm going to be buying some more masks, and I'm planning to
larger
make
pants.
Oh yes, I have to buy some regular pants. I do have a couple of pairs in the closet that I haven't worn, like slacks that I haven't worn that do fit. But my clothes are so old. That's a whole other conversation. We don't need to. We're 12 minutes
or
in.
as we say, that's another podcast.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about the age of my clothing or what I need to do before I can have a work wardrobe. I do still have some things from the before times that I can wear.
How long has it been since you've been in the classroom? Is it it's like
almost
a year
2 years?
Almost 2 years. Yeah,
we left for spring break and didn't come back on like March 13th, 2020. And we start in the end of January. So in 2020, we had basically February and half of March, like maybe 6 weeks of class. And then we left. So not, not a whole lot. So I have some things that I can use to make do, some clothes that I can make do with. But yeah, at a certain point, I mean, my clothes were old before we went on the pandemic. I was wearing slacks that I'd had since 2015. So, they were old before I went on the pandemic. And now it's like, okay, some of them don't fit anymore. And some of them are just like, they need to go. So
yeah.
There's probably some clothes shopping in my future, but I am not looking forward to it. In fact, I had been thinking during that semester that I wanted to make some of those like tunic dresses that go over leggings. I have all that fabric. Remember, I bought that fabric at Stitches to make a skirt, and I was telling you I don't wear dresses and I don't wear skirts, but maybe I can like change my mindset and wear them over tights or leggings. And then all of that got sort of, just derailed. So I don't know. Yeah. I may just go back to my regular jeans and t-shirts. We will see.
Yeah. So, but the other thing, what I wanted to ask you though, I wanted to ask you about the dogs. How are the dogs doing in Barry? How's his weight and all of that?
He's doing great. I don't know if I had announced this on the podcast, but his last vet visit, he was 99 pounds.
Wow.
So he's in double digits now. So he started at 167 when he arrived at the SPCA. And then when we got him, he was in the 130s. And now he's 99, or at least at his last vet visit, he was 99. And he's doing sort of like people do, where he loses weight,
Mhm.
and then his body shape starts changing. So like he was 99 at the last vet visit, and I don't think he's lost more since then, but his shape has changed. So when you look at him from above, he definitely has that sort of waist that they, the diagrams they have at the vet office for is your dog obese,
Yes.
He definitely has that tuck in of a waist when you look at him from the top. And he definitely has a little bit of a tuck up, not much because he has a lot of sagging skin. But he has a little bit of a tuck up underneath. He's still a big dog. He's bulky. He's a stout dog. But
big boned.
Yeah. So, but his last vet visit, he was 99. And so I'm thinking he might be able to get down to like 90 pounds. And that was my original thought, that as a big male shepherd, they go up to like 90, like 70 to 90 pounds. And so I was thinking, okay, well, maybe he's at the top end of that 90 pounds. So we'll see. But he's doing really well.
Well, and I was going to say the other thing is the sagging skin, because he is a young dog, that might, I don't know what the right word is, shrink. I don't know. Like might
quite a bit. He's had quite a bit of sort of reconfiguration. Like when he first lost weight, he had a lot of sagging skin in his armpits. And then he has a scar in one armpit. So that made it like an extra fold. And so every time we'd go walking, he'd have like chafing, and his armpits would just be all red and raw. And so we started using like Gold Bond powder in his armpits. And but anyway, now like when you feel into his armpits, he doesn't have all that sagging skin. There's some, but it's not nearly what it was before. So yeah, he's young enough that I think that some of his skin is I don't know, reconfiguring, changing, shrinking back. I don't know.
Elastic enough or something.
I don't know the science of it, but
you have to put him in the dryer to shrink him, shrink his skin.
Exactly. But he still has extra skin, but he's definitely his shape. Even though I think right now his weight isn't changing, his shape is changing a lot. So, and he's like a fiend for the ball. Oh yeah, my God. I don't know if I've talked about this in the show before, but when I say, let's play ball, he goes running to the garage, which is where I keep the chucket and the ball. And I open the garage door and he goes into the garage. He knows where it is. And as soon as I put my hand on it, he starts like super loud whining and just crying and spinning and spinning. And so then I throw the ball for him, and he just, runs after it and brings it back. And I finally realized that he doesn't want to give the ball back. He won't give it back for liver, like the freeze-dried liver, which is a great treat. He won't give it back for cheese. He won't give it back for any food, but he'll give it back for the other ball. So now I have two. So he brings it back and he drops it because he knows I'm going to throw another one. And so, we throw the ball 10 or 12 or 15 times, and then he's, got his sprint in for the day. His aerobics are done. And we do that a couple times a day, and he loves it. He doesn't want to, at the end, it's hard to get him to give up the ball at the very end. I try to end it before he knows I'm going to end it. But I'm not always successful with that. So, but yeah, and I mean, he's galloping after the ball, not just trotting along like he did when I first started playing ball with him. So,
well, and it's so remarkable because the first time I met him was May when you guys came up Memorial Day weekend, and he was struggling, walking. And he had to rest. Remember, he had to stop by the side of the trail and rest in the shade. And, he was so uncomfortable, so this is very exciting. It's super exciting.
It's really cool to see him just kind of blossom.
I have to send Enzo to you for boot camp because he had his annual, and he's about 5 pounds overweight. So 5 pounds doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're supposed to be, like 60 to
Right.
63 pounds, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So he's getting a cup in the morning and 3/4 at night.
Yeah.
And I haven't really seen any difference, honestly. I took him down to the pet store right below my house and weighed him. Now it's a different scale than the vet, but he gained weight. So clearly either I'm not doing something right, and we've been trying to take longer walks, and I let him on walks, I let him sniff, and then I pick up the pace where he has to kind of walk faster. Because I find it's very easy just to fall into that slow dog walking pace where they're sniffing and you're just standing there and you're thinking and looking at the flowers and stuff. It's not exercise. So I'm really trying to pick up the pace and longer walks. And, but I think that could be it's a different scale. So,
yeah. And if he's, if you cut back his food and he's hungry, canned pumpkin is a good thing. It's pretty low calorie, but they like it.
Okay.
And apparently it's filling. So,
yeah.
Anyway, well, we're 20 minutes in and we haven't talked knitting at all, but we had a lot of catching up to do because we missed an episode.
I know. So, do you want to talk about your projects?
Sure. Yeah, I'll start. So the last episode, I had gotten into just a frenzy of starting things. And so the shawl that I started with the Woolmiza yarn, it's the Sundowner shawl by Tanya Steinbach. And it's the type of shawl where, kind of like the Color Affection, I think people have done that one, where it's wedges. And when you're knitting it, it looks like there's a triangle at the top, like the top has a point. And it does. I mean, you increase, you start at the top and you increase so that it looks like you have a triangle. But when you block it, you kind of block out that hump on the top. Not totally. I don't think in any of those shawls it really totally blocks out. But so it'll have a little bit of a hump at the top. But it is done. And it has a really nice, she called it a brioche stitch on the edge. But it's basically like a I-cord edging. I mean, I don't know if brioche, I didn't check to see if the brioche stitch and I-cord edging are exactly the same thing. But it looks exactly like an I-cord edging. So the whole edging is I-cord, which will be the top of when you're done, will end up being the top of the shawl. Oops. And then it has a wedge, like short row wedge of the one colorway that has more of the pale color in it. It's brown, black or dark brown, I can't really tell, and yellow and gold. And this one has more of the light, pale cream and yellow. And then the second wedge is the darker kind of gold and black and darker brown. And then I decided to put in a third wedge, which wasn't part of the pattern. But I had so much yarn. Those skeins were so big. So I thought, okay, I'll make another wedge. So I made another wedge of the light color. So I've got 3 wedges made with short rows. And then you do a section that is like stripes of the 2 colors. So the 2 variegated colors, which you can't tell they're stripes because the 2 variegated colors are so much the same that it just looks like a different variegated.
Okay,
you know, like
I'm looking at it here. I'm looking at your picture
of the light and dark. And then at the bottom of that, it has a ribbing, like it's called a ruffle. It's in a 3x2 ribbing. And I think when you block it, you have a shawl with a ruffle at the bottom. I don't remember which one.
I do.
You do. With the ribbing, with the ribbing at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
There's one you wear that you wear a lot, and I can't remember which one it is.
Oh, I know which one it is. It's I'm looking at it now. Keep talking, and I'll tell you. I'll interrupt you, and I'll tell you which one it is.
So anyway, it has this. You increase at the bottom. Excuse me. You increase at the bottom So like you make a whole bunch of new stitches by doing increases at the bottom, and then you do a 3x2 ribbing. And so, makes it kind of a rough, once it gets blocked, it doesn't look ruffly now, but once it gets blocked, it'll kind of look ruffly. And I used every single bit of my yarn.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And
that's a lot of yarn.
Yes. It was, I think it was 300 grams. Both skeins were 250 grams. Let's see what the yardage was. Do I have this in my... Yes, I do.
And while you look that up, I found my shawl. I think the one you're thinking of is Among the Shadows.
Oh, right. Yes.
By Colleen Kinnersley. And it's ribbing. It's like 2 or 3 inches of ribbing. It's like probably over 3 inches of ribbing,
okay.
I think.
Mine has about 2 inches of ribbing. And the yarn, let's see. It's Woolmiza... Rohrspatz and Woolmiza Sock and Wool 80/20 Twin, and the colorway is Weird Different, which I think means that it was like a one-off, like maybe something was wrong with it. It had some red spots, like flecks, little like a red speckle here and there, like the yarn broke. But the wool,
or the dye broke.
The dye broke, yeah.
Yeah.
And the skeins are 150. Oh, I don't see the yardage. The skeins are 150 grams. Oh, 466 meters. So that's a lot of yards. Meters are bigger than yards. So that's probably about 500 yards, something like that for each skein. Anyway, I used all of it. I ran out of yarn during the bind off. And I thought, I cannot backtrack all those stitches. Because by the time you get to the end, right, because it's a top-down shawl, by the time you get to the end, plus you did all the increases for the ribbing, that ruffle, I don't even know how many stitches I had. But there was no way I was going to backtrack, 1.5 rows or 1 2/3 rows and then bind off. So I just found I had a black, can't believe I didn't have any black wool, but I had a black mercerized cotton yarn. And I just used it. And I bound off. With the black for the rest of it. You can barely tell. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think anyone can tell except me because I know I did it.
Yeah.
I haven't washed it. I haven't blocked it. But it was quick. I think it was quick because I worked on it a lot. Because it was a lot of stitches by the end. But it's a pretty gold color. It's not my colors at all, but it's really pretty. I like the colors of it. I'm really excited to have it. So I have to block it, and I have a pandemic shawl, crochet shawl that I never blocked. I have a lot of stuff that I finished in the pandemic, and because I didn't need to wear it anywhere, I never blocked it. So I'm gonna have a blocking day.
A blocking day
before I go back to work, where I actually can wear some of this stuff. So that's one project. My shawl, the Sundowner shawl by Tanya Steinbach. It's a nice texture. The stitch pattern, it's not stockinette. It's like a seed stitch or a broken seed stitch or something. So it's really good for a variegated yarn. I really liked it. And then right now at this moment, I'm working on my socks out of the, what is it? Weird Sisters Wool Emporium, the one you got me. Right. So I'm still on the first sock, but it's doing this nice kind of spiral flashing pooling thing. And it's blue and green is one of the stripes. And then the other stripe is kind of a red and brown. And I don't know if they used brown on purpose or if the brown is because the red blended with something else. But anyway, really liking it. They're pretty. And I'm doing the waffle sock pattern. Okay. I'm using the blueberry waffle sock pattern for the stitch pattern. I'm going to do my regular heel and foot and toe and stuff. But the stitch pattern is the waffle pattern, which is basically ribbing. It's 2 rows of ribbing and then 2 rows of stockinette and 2 rows of ribbing and 2 rows of stockinette. And it makes a nice little waffly pattern.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm working on that. I finished some other stuff though too, besides my shawl. So the baby blanket that I had woven, I finished that. I finally, it sat for a while without having the fringe twisted. And I finally sat one night and actually 2 nights and twisted all the fringe. And I've taken some pictures of before and after, because when you twist fringe, if you spin, you'll know how this works. But if you're not a spinner, so what I did was I took 2 strands of the warp in one hand and twisted it, and 2 strands of the warp, the next 2 strands of the warp, and twisted it the same way. And then I put those 4 strands together and twist it back the opposite direction. So it's like plying yarn, right? You twist it one way and then you put them together and twist them back the other way. And so the color combinations, sometimes you get barber poling, right? If the 2 colors, the first 2 colors are the same and the second 2 colors are the same, you get like a barber pole. And sometimes if all the colors are different, you get like speckles. Kind of like if you, I don't know if you've ever made a cabled yarn where you do 2 plies, you do 2 singles,
no, I haven't done
ply
that.
it together, and then another 2 singles and ply it together, and then ply those 2 plies together. Because that's what you're doing when you twist. That's what I was doing when I was twisting fringe with the 4 strands.
Okay.
And so you get little spots. And so I took a series of pictures. I'm going to put it in my project page. Haven't done it yet, but I'll do it before this posts, of the before and after. So you can kind of see how the strands, how they look before they're twisted, and then how they look in the twisted fringe. And so I've got some that are just all like dots. I've got some like one color is barber poling and the other color is dots. I have some that are just all the same color because all 4 strands were the same color. So it's just really interesting when you have a warp that's many different colors to see how that twisted fringe ends up.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with it, and it's done. It's washed. It's so soft. It turned out really nice. It didn't shrink quite as much as what I had wanted. I think I could have probably put the strands closer together in the reed. But it's a nice drapey, soft baby blanket. So that's finished.
Yeah.
And then remember, Marsha, a couple episodes ago we were talking about the Pebble Brook beanie.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've made 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
Finished 3 of them. So the first 2 were multicolored, and I do have pictures in my project pages of these. The first 2 were multicolored, and I used the acrylic that was left over from Faye's flower blanket. I still have quite a bit of that yarn left, but
these are so cute.
But I decided to make two hats in the variegated. So the first one I followed the pattern exactly, and it's a little small. I crochet and knit a little tight, and so that's probably why. So in the second one I made the brim a little bit bigger. As you crochet the brim and then you crochet the rest of it. You crochet the brim like around. It's like a 2-inch wide piece that you're crocheting, kind of like that 1896 hat or something.
1898 hat. Yeah, you do it. What would be like? You do it around your head.
Yeah,
and then pick up the stitches and knit up. Yeah.
So you do the same thing with this one, that you crochet the ribbing around your head, and then once you've got that ribbing done, you connect it together, and then you crochet in the round for the hat.
Okay.
And so for the second one, I made the ribbing a little bit wider, and then I went a couple more repeats before I started the decreases. And so that made kind of an adult large. That one's kind of big. It's nice. I mean, it fits me, but I think it could fit someone bigger than me as well. It's kind of it has a tiny bit of slouch, which I actually like in a hat, but it's supposed to be a beanie. So that worked well for like an adult size. And then I took the yarn that I used to make the Targhee lamb, the brown that I used to make the that lamb grandpa sweater that I dark and stormy. And so I used the leftovers from that, and I made a solid color one, and I really like the solid color one.
Oh yeah. So is there pictures? I don't see pictures.
I don't know that I've put a picture of the solid color one in there yet.
No,
I don't think I
see it,
have.
but-
I think
But that would be nice. It's very textural, kind of.
yeah,
right?
it's very textured, and the yarn is just a plain brown. Yeah, I don't have a picture. And I think I'm going to make another one because I have an extra skein of this brown. So I think I'll just use it to make another hat, and that'll get rid of that brown hand spun that I'm done with, that I had way too much for my sweater. But I think another hat, maybe two hats, depends how big that skein is. But anyway, so that I finished that. So I think that's it. I finished 3 of those Pebble Brook beanie hats. Highly recommend that pattern. Really fun. I finished my shawl. I finished my weaving, the woven blanket. And I'm currently working on socks. So that's my projects.
Okay, very nice. Well, it was.
I do.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, that's okay.
People might be curious what happened to my dark green forest sweater.
Yes,
So I made.
Yes.
I extended.
Do you want to tell us? I have a feeling.
Yeah.
I have a bad feeling about this,
No,
Kelly.
it's-
Should I have a bad?
It's not horrible. It's just irritating.
Okay.
So I thought my sleeves were not the same size. I counted the honeycomb cables. And I was short 2 honeycomb cables in one sleeve. So I added the 2 honeycomb cables in the sleeve, and then I measured the sleeves again, and now that sleeve is too long. So I think the extra honeycomb cables that I put in, I need to take out. And I think it's because, you do like a certain number of rows, and then you do the cable crossing, and then a certain number of rows, and you do the cable crossing. And I think my number of rows was not totally consistent. So some of my honeycombs are bigger than other honeycombs. So having the same number of honeycombs doesn't mean I have the same length of sleeve. Which is a problem. So I just need to, I think I had said I was going to block it and measure it blocked, and I never did that, but I think I am going to block it and look at it again and decide if I need to rip out, because I think one sleeve is definitely too long, and I need to rip it back a little bit. So it had progress, but I'm not sure the progress was useful.
Yeah. Well,
But
it's not going anywhere.
No,
I mean, it's like
that's
it's sort of like my atlas, right? No, I think my atlas is worse, honestly. My situation with my atlas.
I think so. I'm not in.
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I'm not like that. I just need to really sit down and measure them and rip them back so that they're the same length, and then do the ribbing. Because it's not ribbing that, like, the ribbing follows the pattern of the cable. It's like the cables extend into the ribbing. And so there's parts of the ribbing that are like 3x1 or 3x2 or something like that. So it's not the kind of ribbing that you can really like, well, I don't know, maybe you can. Not the kind of ribbing, I don't think of it as the kind of ribbing where you can like, fold your sleeves back. It's kind of not designed to do that. So I want to make sure that it's the right length.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, well, it's too long, no problem. I'll just fold them up when I wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been sitting while I've been playing with other stuff, which has been fun. So anyway, that's my my roundup.
Your roundup.
Yeah, my project roundup.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you what's going on with me. So I have 2 finished projects. And the first one is the Garter Squish blanket that I was making.
Yay!
It's done. It's actually been done for a while, but I just posted pictures 2 days ago, I think. Anyway, I really like it, and I really like the colors. I ended up not using all of the colors. So I don't remember what I said the last, because it's been a while since we recorded, but remember I was, the contrasting colors, I split the skeins in half. And so I went through the first half of those split skeins, but I realized I had gone past the middle of the main color. So I realized I was never going to be able to, I was never going to use all of that color if I continued just to use all of the half skeins. So I started just putting in maybe 3, 4, or 5, depending what color it was, 3 or 4 garter ridges of the contrasting colors as I finished the blanket. And I ended up using all of it except maybe 3 colors.
Oh, that's good.
So anyway, I really like it. And it ended up being about 60 inches by 72 inches. And anyway, yeah, it went pretty quickly. And I have to say, super fun project. I mean, just the whole idea of, we dyed all of the yarn. The main color was the gradient, and then all the contrasting colors. And it's such a fun project because you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And it looks really good. I'm looking at it right now. And I mean, you can't tell that you changed to do something different in the middle.
Yeah. No, you really can't. I think it looks great. And again, it's such an amazingly fun project. So, and when you were up here, I have enough yarn to make another one. That I would not have to dye the yarn. Right. I'm just going to use it. I'll just have to reskein it all and wash it all, and then. But we've inspired some listeners to. To start this blanket. So. Yeah,
I'm actually tempted. I haven't gotten anywhere on it, but I'm kind of tempted to do another blanket. Mine, I don't know what I would use because I'm not sure what I have. One of the things I'm looking forward to once school ends, I need to do a tossing of the stash. because
why does that sound like it's something they do in Scotland? The tossing of the stash.
I don't know, but I think I have yarn. I think I don't have that much yarn because. This skein of sock yarn that I'm using right now that you got me at Seabrook, I think was the only full skein of sock yarn that I had in my stash. And I have a couple of things that I've got set aside, I think I want to make a shawl out of these 3 skeins. And I bought these 4 skeins to go in a shawl. So I've got a couple of maybe 3 or 4 things like that. And then the rest of my yarn, honestly, I think the rest of my yarn is spirit yarn and handspun. But I need to really have a little meeting with myself to make sure that's really true, right? Is that really true? Or do I have some things hidden away that I haven't thought about? One thing I do have hidden away that I haven't thought about is the set of the gradient set from Neighborhood Fiber Company. Is a bunch of blues and teals that I started a shawl with, and I ripped it out, lost it for a while, found it, lost it again, found it. So now I have it sitting, waiting to go. But I'd like to do a little inventory so I can be honest with myself about what I have before I go to stitches or knockers. because it feels like I have no yarn, which clearly that's not the case. Like if you asked Robert, Kelly said she has no yarn, he'd be like, oh yeah, that's a lie.
It probably rolls his eyes.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, one of these days I'm gonna do that. I keep thinking about it, but I want to wait until school is out and do it as a treat to myself to spend some time with my yarn. So, well, you said you finished a couple things. What else did you finish?
Well, I'm writing down, before I move on, I'm writing down, I think this might be the name of our episode, Tossing of the Stash. No, I'm kidding. Okay, and so then the other thing I finished was the Quick Switch, the hat by Abbyeknits. I used the Madelinetosh DK, and I don't remember when I cast this on, but it's the one where you do the no, I don't remember. You knit through the second stitch first, either through the front or the back, and then through the first stitch, and that makes the stitches move sort of diagonally to the right or to the left, depending on which way you do it.
I'm looking at
your
project page. That's
yeah. So I finished that hat, and I've been wearing it, and I really like it. It's very comfortable. It's sometimes hats can be too tight, and they just pop off the top of your head. It doesn't do that, but so anyway, I really like that hat, and I would recommend that pattern.
So it looks like it has a hem instead of like a ribbing at the bottom.
Yes, it does. It's very interesting. You just do stockinette, I believe, in the round for, I believe, 24 rows. And then you fold that in half, and you pick up the cast-on edge with the live stitches and knit them together. And it folds it in half. It's a very nice looking edge. It's very finished looking.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how it was going to work, because a lot of times when you have a hemmed edge like that, you put a row of garter stitch in. Or, I mean, sorry, I should rephrase that. A row of purl to create sort of that fold, and this one you don't. And I was wondering how it was going to look, and it looks very nice. It's very finished looking.
Yeah, I think it looks nice too. I always think of ribbing for the bottom of a hat, but obviously that's not the only thing you can do.
And I was also wondering how it was going to stretch too, like how stretchy that, what do you call that? Brim?
The hem.
Whatever.
The hem,
or how stretchy it was going to be, because it is stockinette. And also then you're picking up and knitting stitches. And is that going to be where the part where you pick up the cast on edge to make that fold? Is that seam going to be stretchy? And it seems to be stretchy.
Oh, good.
It reminds me the construction is similar in a way to the construction of the 1898 hat, where that when you're doing, it's not stockinette, I believe it's garter stitch. And then you fold it in half, and then you pick up those two edges. That's not the right word. You knit those two edges together to create the brim, and then knit up. So it's, even though this one is not knitted, like around your head, like the 1898 hat, like the hat you were talking about, your crocheted hat where you knit around and then pick up stitches. This is just a stockinette, but it does make a stretchy seam. I was wondering about that. Anyway, it's a very cute hat. It's actually, the pattern says you're supposed to use like a hand-painted yarn, those one-off skeins you have. I ended up using one that has more of a tonal quality to it, so that I think it shows, in my opinion, and I think it's just everybody's opinion, I think it sort of shows off the stitch pattern more than if you had a highly variegated yarn. I don't know.
Yeah. If you had one that, I'm looking at the project pages, and a lot of the people's yarn is like, it looks like it's not a variegated where it has a long stretch of one color and then a long stretch of another color, but more like little blips.
Yeah, little blips, I think, is what looks good.
There are some that have long stripes of color, and I don't like those as well as the one that have just the ones that have just little blips of color, like a tonal yarn with little, not speckles, but just
Mm-hmm.
like little blotches of other colors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would make a good yarn or a good pattern for that kind of yarn because it would show it off really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you
So
don't
I'm gonna
have
make
a
another
pom-pom on yours.
I did not put a pom-pom
I
on
don't.
mine.
I see some of them have pom-poms. Most of them don't have pom-poms. I need a new hat. I have the sockhead hat that I wear all the time,
Mm-hmm.
made out of Malabrigo in the, I can't even remember what colorway it was, like Arco Iris, I think is the colorway. Arco Iris. I think that's the rainbow. And that hat has been such a great walking hat, but it's like I can look through, and I look at it with the light behind it, I can see places where the stitches are about to break.
Mm-hmm.
It's had so much, so faded, and it's had so much sun damage from, being outside that I need another hat. And this might be a good one.
Yeah, I like it. And I have to say my pictures are not very good. It makes it look kind of a grade blue. It's a very kind of bright teal, like several shades of teal.
Okay.
I'll just have to see if I can get a better picture of it for maybe take it outside, take a better picture for the show notes. But anyway, so those are my two finished projects. Cool. And then sadly, no movement on the atlas.
Well, just let it marinate for a while. It just needs to marinate.
Yeah, so I did take it to the beach. We were down at the on the Washington coast for a week, and I did take it, but I just worked on my socks and my garter squish, and I actually finished the garter squish. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. Garter squish blanket. I finished that at the beach. Nice. We were there in November. So anyway, and I finished the hat down there too. But I brought the sweater to do my swatch, and I don't know. The mojo's gone. I have to get my mojo back on that. But anyway.
Yeah, it needs to probably just needs to sit for a little bit till you can get behind the effort again.
Well, anyway, I'll tell you. So I think the other thing is I feel like moving on. Right. And I've sort of started moving on. And so I'm going to have to go take a step back at some point, but that's not happening now. Yeah. Maybe in the new year. Right. But anyway, the Nanny Meier tea cozy that I'm making for Brian, I still have not heard from him. And so it's just sitting in my basket. I'm just mentioning it because it's in my show notes. But I started another one.
And
I started another
him,
Nanny.
Right? You see him like.
Yes. I mean, I see. Well, and actually, have I seen him since I came back from the beach? God, I can't even remember. I don't even remember. Now it's a point of honor. I'm not asking. For what Janice said, I'm not asking. No, I will. I would like to just finish it because I realized it's also the one because I'm supposed to make two for him. And the first one is like in reds and greens, and he'd probably like to have it for Christmas, but I don't know. Anyway, what I was going to say is I've started another one. I'm doing another Nanny Meier tea cozy. And the pattern designer is Amelia Carlsen. And I'm doing this for my friend Susannah. And because I don't know why I've not made her a tea cozy years ago, because all she drinks is tea. She doesn't drink coffee.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
every time I go over there, she pulls out a pot. She has all these different teapots. So her kitchen is yellow. So I'm doing it out of Cascade 220. And the yellow is it's just called yellow. Number 9463, which ironically is the same yellow that the second tea cozy I'm making for Brian is supposed to be out of. And then an orange, like kind of a rust.
Now it looks nice.
It's kind of like reminds me of citrus or something.
Yeah.
So I went over and so I've done, I have one more rib I was knitting on it while we were talking, and I have maybe one more garter stitch rib to do. And then I'm going to start the decreases and I don't have her teapot to measure. So I'm sort of debating. I think what I might do is just make the two sides and sew it all together, make the pom-pom. And then when I give it to her, say, give me your teapot and I'll just sew up the sides.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just make them kind of larger. Maybe I'll just sew it up and make one side, because you always want to have one side hole larger for the handle and one a little bit smaller for the spout. And so I'm trying to I don't know. I'm debating what to do about that, but
Yeah.
I want to get it done in the next week or so.
Well, that's cool.
So I can give it to her. Yeah.
I'm noticing
And
that
then-
you have a pineapple tea cozy that's sitting with all its pieces.
Thank you, Kelly. You're such a good friend.
Not shaming you or anything. Just I was noticing you have this tea cozy that's almost done.
Well, and also if you look, since you're that kind of friend, you will also notice that there is a Daphne skull is sitting there,
Yeah,
and
but those
the
are
rabbit
not
is
close-
sitting there.
Those are not close to being done, but this pineapple tea cozy looks like it's just got like to put the pineapple top on the pineapple bottom.
Well, yes, well, and I'll tell you what my problem with my pineapple tea cozy is. You knit the leaves, and there's 3 pieces that then you're going to sew together like in a circle kind
Right.
of. I don't know,
to
like
be
a
the
rose kind of.
the fronds of the pineapple.
The frond things, those leaves that come out the top. And I realized when I made the last one, the largest one, the little fronds, I didn't read the pattern right, and they're not long enough. So I need to rip it out and redo it. And that's what's
just make them
got me
shorter.
stunned.
Just put them
I know.
together with the short fronds. Call
I
it
know.
a hybrid pineapple.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's got me. So like,
Okay.
you know, I think that I'm not that unusual. I think a lot of knitters like, ugh, you have a problem and then you just like stop, you know?
Well,
Anyway.
like my sleeves.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
that sweater has been done except the sleeve ribbing for a long time, but like,
Mhm.
ugh, I have to now figure out how to make the sleeves the same length. So, yes, I do understand.
So, where am I now? Oh, and then my socks. I'm still working on the Meadow Stripes socks, the Patton's Croy sock in the colorway Meadow Stripes. And I finished the first sock, and I did the heel in the navy.
That looks really good.
Okay, you like that?
Yeah. When you sent me the picture, I think that looks really good with the navy.
Yeah, I think, yeah. It'll look better when it's washed, you know, because it's not lying very flat in that picture. But I know. But anyway,
the color looks nice. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a matching color. It's a contrasting color, but it's a good contrasting color.
Yeah, I think it looks really nice, and I think I also had some gray, and I think this is much better than the gray that I had. So anyway, and I cast on for the second one, and I've done 3 inches probably on that sock. And then moving on, paving mitts. So I'm supposed to be doing a crochet project for our, I don't know, Kelly. We'll see how I do. So this is paving mitts, and the designer is
Twin set
Ellen Silva, Twin Set Ellen. And so I've got the pattern. I bought that, and I printed it out. And I went to the store and I bought yarn because I didn't have anything that I wanted to use.
Okay.
You know, so I went and I bought yarn. And I bought the same yarn that's the blue of my socks. And so I've decided I'm doing solids. And so I bought, so it's laying
nice.
yarns. Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. And so I don't know, I put the yarn in my project page so you can see the picture of it, but it's Laying Yarns Jawal Superwash in a pink, like a hot pink and a gray, like a dark gray.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be kind of interesting. I was looking at other people's projects, and some people did solids or like semi-solids or tonals, but not highly variegated colors. And I thought they were really good looking.
I did a highly variegated with a solid. But there's a lot of different ones that are not that, which are very interesting.
Yeah.
I could use
so I bought
another
that.
pair of those. Those are nice. I like those.
And I will admit something that partly I want to get this tea cozy done for Susannah before Christmas. And I can say it's for her because she doesn't listen to, I don't believe she listens to the podcast. So I think it's okay to say this. And if she does, surprise.
Hi, Susannah.
You know what you're getting. Hi, Susannah. You know what you're getting. like I want to get the tea cozy done for her for Christmas. And then because I'm going to be crocheting and I'm not a really highly proficient crocheter, and also these are Tunisian crochet,
Right.
I'm going to have to take some time to sit down and like think about it.
Well,
and do a little refresher video on Tunisian crochet.
And part of my my note to myself about shipping from the last podcast was that I was actually going to ship you my Tunisian crochet hook that has 2 sides. And of course, I did not do that.
Anyway, so then I went and I bought one.
Oh, good. Okay.
I went and I bought one, but I don't know if it's going to work or not because it has to. I just bought it, and now I'm kind of questioning maybe it's not the right thing because it actually screws onto one of your cable. You screw it onto a cable.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to work or not. Because then do I just put like a needle, like a knitted needle at the other end, or what do I?
You know what? I don't remember. I was thinking I had a hook at each end, but maybe I didn't. I honestly haven't looked for what I was supposed to send you a month ago.
Well, I'm beginning to think I should have crocheted a washcloth. Is what I'm beginning to. Well,
let me see. No, let me see in that pattern. I'm gonna look. So it tells you what you need in the pattern and the materials that you need. The yarn.
Yeah, let me
needles,
go to my library.
Double-ended crochet hook.
Oh.
So you do need a double-ended Tunisian crochet.
Okay. They told me the wrong thing then because I went and I showed her the pattern. She said, "Oh, this is what you need."
Yeah,
so
to do it in the round, you need a double-ended crochet hook. So instead of having the little like stopper at the end of the cable, it should have another crochet hook at the end of the cable. I believe.
Okay.
And I think I have that. I will look. I will not promise to send it to you. But if I find it, if I do, when I'm tossing my stash, once school is out, when I find it, I'll, if I find it, I can send it to you. Because they're fast. I mean, like, you could easily get one done in, like, a couple of days in January. If you really wanted to.
Well, I can't because wait a minute, it doesn't, it ends in, January 10th.
Yeah.
I forgot. For some reason, I had in my mind, sorry, this is really bad podcasting that I don't even know. I had in my mind it was, December 31st.
No,
so it's January 10th.
So January 10th. So like after Christmas, you could start them. If you come down here, I can just hand them to you and you can crochet them while you're here.
Okay. Well, then I'll come to California so I can, anyway. Okay. So so enough of that. That's what I'm right. Working on. And I'm going to have to see I don't know if they'll take back those needles. I'm going to have to see if they'll take them back. Because I'm not going to, or not needles, but
the crochet hook.
The crochet hook that attaches. Yeah. Anyway, and then also then the other, and I just realized I didn't put this in the show notes, but the other reason why I'm sort of like, I should not say that about our contest.
Weaving, you have no weaving.
Yeah, no, what I kind of want to move on to is I have all the hand spun, the green and the bittersweet chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Hand spun that I did, that barber pole stuff that I did to make a sweater for Ben. And I did a swatch and I kind of want to just start that. That's what I'm more inspired by that, which is a terrible thing to really admit. But I'm kind of, but that's why I kind of really want to do that. And I thought, no, I have to do I'm going to do the paving mitts. I'm going to finish the tea cozy and then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to figure out those paving mitts and I'm going to do that. So, or maybe I'll just come to California and I can just knit them down there in California or not knit them, crochet them in California. And I'll just start my sweater for Ben. Yeah. Maybe that's what I'll do. Anyway, that's all for me for projects. So there's a lot of really good stuff. Like I finished my blanket. I love that blanket and I love the hat. Some other things that I'm struggling with a bit, I have to admit. It's not all rosy here.
Well, it can't be all rosy.
Yeah.
Well, good.
So since we were talking about the crochet, the paving stone mitts, we should just announce it very clearly that the crochet along is going on. It started November 1st, ends January 10th. And there's a crochet bundle in the Ravelry group.
And if people have good crochet patterns, they can add. I believe I've set it up so they can add to the bundle.
Good, yeah. Okay. And then the other thing we have to say, too, is the Winter Weave Along is going on. Mm-hmm. That started October 15th, and it goes through the end of March.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to my lace weaving from the Jane Stafford Guild. I stopped, I don't know, I think I stopped with episode 5. I don't remember. But she's got a couple more episodes up of lace weaving that I really want to get to. So one more week of class. So right now it's December 9th. So we're in week 15. Next week is week 16. And then I grade my finals. Final grades are due the 21st. So then I'll be free. The dogs will be so happy because I haven't been walking them lately. And I'll be able to do some weaving.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's the end of this episode.
Yeah, I think so. Barry is picking up on cues that I'm about to be done talking. Both the dogs understand the end of, well, this is not a Zoom call, but they understand like the tone and the chit chat that happens at the end of a Zoom call. And so when they're in the trailer with me, when that starts to happen, they come and they get under the table and they're pushing at my legs and trying to get me to get up. And so he's doing that right now. So it's probably time to go.
Yeah. Well, it's dinner time too. So for them.
Past dinner time. So, I don't know. Maybe they've had dinner already. I don't know. Robert maybe fed them. I'm not really sure. But yeah, he knows it's time for me to close up the computer. So he's having bad dog behavior.
I would say they are so smart. They really
my
are
gosh,
smart,
yeah. So. I can't believe that they know what the end of a Zoom call sounds like. They know when I'm about to sign off, close the computer, and be done.
Okay, so now Barry's going to be completely disappointed because I forgot there's something I wanted to say about when you were talking about Barry. When you're talking about Barry and his weight loss, and I was talking about Enzo and about Barry and the ball. I posted this on Instagram, but the plush toy log that your mom gave to Bailey that has the 3 squirrels inside.
Yeah.
Enzo's birthday, his 6th birthday, was December 5th. And so I went down to the pet store near my house, and they had that log with the 3 squirrels. And so I bought it for him, and he loves that. And now you said like Bailey will take the log and she'll shake it, so then the squirrels go flying everywhere.
Some of the squirrels go flying, and then she gets the rest of them out. Yeah.
Yeah, so he hasn't done that yet, but he has figured out how to get them out. But when I first gave it to him, I didn't realize that the squirrels were actually, how they have those plastic, clothing, like a price tag will be attached with those little plastic stringy things. Well, all the squirrels I didn't realize were actually attached inside with those. And so I thought, why can't he get them out? Well, he couldn't get them out because they were stuck in there, But we finally got them out, and so I'll come and I'll find them. I'll put them all back in, and then I'll come later in the day and I'll find them that the squirrels are spread all over the house.
It's so funny how they do that, yeah.
And then he lays, I have a towel on the bed, and he just gets up and he lays on the bed. And I find him now sleeping with the log like a pillow. And I don't know if you ever, there's something I will admit that I watch poodle grooming videos, and now he's not groomed this way, but those poodles, the standard poodles that have the continental clip with all that
like the show
hair,
clip, yeah.
The show clip. To keep that organized, what they do is they band them. They put rubber bands and so like they make like literally like all these little ponytails that are banded with elastic bands. And to do that, they lay the dog, like it lays its chin on a little foam rest kind of within its. And so that's what he reminds me of. He sort of lays his chin on this log like those show poodles, getting banded. Anyway, very funny. He's just thoroughly enjoying it. And I posted on Instagram, and your mom says that Maggie, her corgi, has the same toy.
Yeah.
And really loves it too. So
yeah, she really
it's very
likes
funny.
it. And Bailey doesn't get to play with it very much anymore because she can only play with it when Barry's not there. But it's so funny. He'll go next to the closet where that toy lives, and he'll like sniff the bottom of the closet. Like he can smell that there's a plush toy in there. That
he can smell the squirrels.
Yeah,
in
he
there.
can smell the squirrels because he eats plush toys, which is why he can't just have them.
Okay, well, we'll let Barry go have you now. So we'll get off the phone.
Okay.
And all right. So we'll talk in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2 U's
Doing our part for World Fleece.